Toxic people don't just ruin your day, they erode your identity slowly, quietly, until you don't recognize who you are anymore. But you can break free. You can reclaim your peace, your power, and your purpose. The question is, are you finally ready to walk away from what's been holding you back? 1. Define your boundaries clearly. If you don't know where you stand, you will fall for anything. Toxic people thrive in the gray areas. Make your limits known clearly, respectfully, and unapologetically. Toxicity often exists in environments where boundaries are poorly defined. Clarity is the antidote to chaos. Most people underestimate the quiet power of boundaries, not because they don't matter, but because they don't fully understand what boundaries are. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're lines that define where you end and where someone else begins. They are the rules of engagement for your life. And if you don't set them consciously, someone else will set them for you. In your daily life, this begins with the smallest decisions. You get a message that makes you uncomfortable. Do you respond just to be polite? A coworker offloads their negativity onto you each morning. Do you listen, nod, absorb it all, just to avoid conflict? Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're teaching someone that your time, energy, and peace are negotiable. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish, it makes you responsible. It means you've sorted yourself out enough to know what you can and cannot allow, what contributes to your growth and what corrupts it. And here's the uplifting part. Boundaries don't just protect your peace, they reveal your value. They say to the world, I am worth protecting, my life is worth living deliberately. When you begin defining your boundaries, the toxic people in your life may resist. Of course they will. Chaos always resents order. But that resistance isn't a sign to retreat. It's confirmation you're doing something right. That discomfort, it's growing pains. You are stepping into alignment with who you truly are. Start with one small step. Say no when you mean no. Take 5 minutes of silence when your mind is overloaded. Communicate your limits kindly but firmly. Each time you do, you're reclaiming territory in your life, not through force, but through clarity. Because when you know where you stand, you give others a chance to meet you there or walk away. Either way, you win. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been vague? Where are the lines blurred? Define them, speak them, honor them. That is how you begin to create order from chaos. And in doing so, you become someone who no longer bends under pressure, but someone who leads with purpose. 2. Take radical responsibility. You cannot control what others do, but you are absolutely responsible for how long you tolerate it. Stop blaming toxic people and start changing your reaction to them. Responsibility is the foundation of liberation. One of the hardest truths you'll ever face is this: you are not responsible for what others do to you, but you are absolutely responsible for how long you allow it to continue. That might sound harsh at first, but it's one of the most liberating realizations you can have. Because the moment you accept full ownership of your response, you regain power. Responsibility is not about blame, it's about agency. It means you stop waiting for the world to change, and instead, you begin changing the way you interact with the world. You stop saying, they're toxic, they're manipulative, they're unfair, and you start saying, why have I allowed this dynamic to persist? And that's not weakness, that's strength, that's maturity. In daily life, this means recognizing your role in the patterns that drain you. Maybe you always pick up the phone for someone who leaves you anxious every time. Maybe you constantly overextend yourself for people who give nothing in return. The question isn't why they act that way, it's why you continue to participate in the cycle. Taking radical responsibility doesn't mean you condone the behavior, it means you refuse to be a victim of it. It means you stop trying to control the chaos around you and instead you take control of what you can, your time, your energy, your choices, your standards. You might say, but it's not fair, and you'd be right. Life isn't fair, but it is responsive. When you begin to take responsibility for your inner world, your outer world begins to shift. People will either rise to meet the new standard you set or fall away. Let them. This shift starts small. Maybe it's pausing before reacting. Maybe it's journaling your patterns. Maybe it's choosing to walk away from a conversation that no longer serves you. These micro movements are where self-respect begins. And when you start to live from that place of responsibility, you begin to build a life with fewer regrets and more meaning. Because no one is coming to save you. But if you're willing to show up for yourself every single day, you won't need saving. You'll already be free. 3. Detach from drama. Your attention is the currency of your soul. Don't spend it on chaos. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just disengage. Silence is sometimes the loudest answer. Chaos is seductive. It offers you a false sense of importance. Like being involved in someone else's crisis somehow gives your life meaning. But that's a dangerous illusion, because while you're drowning in other people's drama, your own goals, dreams, and sanity begin to erode. You need to understand this. Not every battle is yours to fight, and not every emotional storm requires your umbrella. Detachment is not apathy, it's discipline. It's the conscious decision to preserve your energy for what truly matters. In daily life, this might mean stepping back from a toxic conversation instead of defending yourself endlessly. It might mean not responding to that text at midnight that you know will only pull you back into a spiral. Or perhaps it means resisting the urge to correct every lie, every slight, every attempt to provoke you. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to fix everyone. What you do need is peace of mind. And you cannot have that if you're constantly tethered to emotional chaos that has nothing to do with your purpose. Detach, not to punish others, but to protect yourself. Because the drama will always be there. The question is, will you keep feeding it with your time, your energy, your identity, or will you choose to rise above it, to operate from a place of purpose instead of reaction? When you learn to walk away from unnecessary conflict, you start showing up better for yourself and everyone around you. You become the calm in the storm, the steady hand, the grounded presence. That is power, not loud, reactive, ego-driven power, at silent, unshakable, internal authority. Make it a habit when you feel pulled into chaos, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this aligned with the life I'm building? If the answer is no, let it go. Detachment is a skill. Practice it. You don't rise by fighting every battle. You rise by choosing better ones. The path to peace is paved not by control, but by clarity. So choose clarity, choose peace, and choose yourself. 4. Surround yourself with people who want the best for you. If your friends don't lift you higher, they're dragging you down. Seek relationships based on growth, not convenience or history. Who you allow in your life shapes who you become. The people you surround yourself with are either scaffolding, supporting your climb, or anchors, quietly pulling you down. One of the most transformational decisions you'll ever make is choosing to build your circle with intention, not convenience. Because your environment doesn't just influence your thoughts, it shapes your potential. Take a look at your daily life. Who are you texting? Who are you listening to? Who gets your time, your vulnerability, your energy? Are they pushing you forward, challenging you to grow, or are they feeding your stagnation? Encouraging your excuses? This isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. When you surround yourself with people who genuinely want the best for you, everything changes. They don't resent your progress, they celebrate it. They don't compete with your growth, they contribute to it. They hold you accountable not out of judgment, but because they believe in who you could be, even when you've forgotten. Now ask yourself, what kind of person are you in someone else's life? If you want to attract better, you have to become better. You have to walk the talk. Encourage others, speak truth, show up with integrity. When you operate at a higher standard, low vibration relationships naturally fall away. This might mean letting go of certain people, and yes, it's painful, but you must decide, do you want to be liked by everyone or respected by the right ones? Do you want comfort or do you want transformation? Surrounding yourself with the right people isn't just good for the soul, it's essential for survival. Life is hard, growth is harder. You need allies, not spectators, builders, not leeches, people who remind you of your values when the world tries to distract you from them. Start small, have a real conversation, speak your goals out loud, pay attention to who leans in and who looks away. That moment tells you everything. Because in the end, your future will be shaped not just by your actions, but by the people who walk beside you as you take them. So walk with the wise, build with the brave, and never ever settle for less than those who truly see you and still challenge you to be more. 5. Confront with truth, not emotion. Speak the truth even if your voice shakes. Emotion without clarity only breeds more confusion. Toxic people often weaponize your emotions. Use truth and logic instead. Be calm, be clear, and be firm. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools you will ever possess, but it's also one of the most underused. Why? Because we're taught to equate no with rejection, selfishness, or conflict. But in truth, a well-placed no is a declaration of self-respect. It says, I know my limits. I know my priorities. I will not betray myself just to keep the peace. In your daily life, this can look deceptively small. Someone asks you to take on a task at work that has nothing to do with your role. You say yes because you don't want to be difficult. A friend asks you to go out when you're mentally and emotionally drained, but you go anyway because you fear disappointing them. These aren't harmless decisions. Over time, they erode your identity. They teach you that your voice doesn't matter. But the moment you learn to say no with confidence, your entire life begins to shift. You reclaim your time, you reclaim your focus, you become a curator of your own energy rather than a passive participant in everyone else's agenda. And here's the real beauty. You don't have to be harsh to be firm. Saying no isn't about aggression. It's about clarity. It's a gentle, powerful statement. That doesn't align with who I am or where I'm going. People who respect you will understand. Those who don't were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. So practice. Start small. Say no to the meeting that could have been an email. Say no to the event you're dreading. Say no to the conversation that always leaves you drained. Every time you do, you reinforce the idea that your life is yours to manage. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you create space to say yes to what does, to your vision, your health, your peace, your purpose. Because you cannot build a meaningful life if it's constantly interrupted by distractions disguised as obligations. Mastering the art of no is not about pushing the world away, it's about inviting the right things in. And that's not selfishness, that's wisdom. 6. Prioritize your purpose over pleasing. You're not here to be agreeable, you're here to become who you could be. People-pleasing leads to resentment and self-erasure. You must choose between peace with others and peace with yourself. When your sense of identity is unclear, you become vulnerable to manipulation, to guilt, to emotional hijacking by people who don't have your best interests at heart. But when you know who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, what you will and will not tolerate, you become unshakable. This isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. Strengthening your identity means building a solid internal foundation that no storm can knock down. And you do that not in grand, sweeping gestures, but in small, intentional acts every single day. Start by defining your values. Write them down. Be honest. What matters to you? Integrity, freedom, compassion, discipline. Once you know your values, they become a compass guiding every decision, every relationship, every boundary. Let's take it to your daily life. Say you're in a conversation where someone pressures you to betray your standards, maybe to gossip, to lie, or to compromise your time. If your identity is weak, you'll bend. you'll tell yourself it's no big deal. But if your identity is strong, you'll stand firm, not because it's easy, but because you've already decided who you are. A strong identity also protects you from toxic people, because manipulative individuals prey on those who are uncertain. They look for cracks in the foundation, guilt, people-pleasing, unresolved wounds. But when you show up with clarity, with a strong posture and a grounded presence, that manipulation loses its grip. And this isn't just about defense, it's also about direction. When you know who you are, your life stops being reactive. You begin to lead yourself with purpose. You walk into rooms with intention. You speak with conviction. You take action that aligns with your deepest truth, not your insecurities or your need for approval. This kind of strength isn't built overnight. It takes reflection, repetition, courage. But each time you honor your values, each time you refuse to shrink or conform, you reinforce your identity. And here's the truth. The world doesn't need more agreeable people. It needs more anchored people. People who know who they are, what they stand for, and where they're going. So decide, then live it loudly, unapologetically, consistently. Because a strong identity doesn't just protect you, it propels you. 7. Clean up your own house first. Before you remove the toxic people, ask yourself, why were they allowed to stay? Self-reflection is key. What internal void allowed external dysfunction? Growth begins when you stop running and start facing. Revenge is seductive. When someone wounds you, lies to you, disrespects you, it's natural to want to strike back, to make it fair, to settle the score. But here's the deeper truth. The moment you invest your energy into retaliation, you bind yourself to the very person who hurt you. You make them the author of your next chapter. That's not justice. That's imprisonment. Real strength is walking away without the need to destroy. It's choosing to rise rather than to retaliate. When you shift your focus from vengeance to growth, you reclaim your narrative. You stop being a character in someone else's drama and become the author of your own transformation. Apply this to your daily life. Instead of obsessing over what they said, focus on improving your communication. Instead of stewing over the job you lost, level up your skills and get better opportunities. Instead of proving your worth to someone who never saw it, start living in a way that proves it to yourself. This isn't weakness, it's a higher level of discipline. You learn to use pain as fuel, not poison. You turn the betrayal into boundaries, the loss into lessons, the disrespect into determination. And in doing so, you evolve into someone so focused, so aligned, so elevated that their opinions no longer register. This doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you allow repeated harm. It means you refuse to let pain harden you into someone you're not. You outgrow the need to get even because you're too busy getting better. Every day presents a choice. Do I let this situation pull me into bitterness, or do I let it push me into becoming stronger, wiser, more self-directed? Choose growth every time, not because it's easy, but because it leads to freedom. You're not here to play petty games. You're here to build a life that reflects who you truly are, a life of order, of purpose, of strength forged through adversity, not consumed by it. So let them watch while you rise. Let your progress be the response. Let your peace be the power. Because revenge may feel good for a moment, but growth builds empires. So, are you ready to walk away from toxic people and reclaim your power? You can. It starts with knowing your worth and setting boundaries that honor who you are. Remember, every step you take toward freedom is a step closer to becoming the best version of yourself. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Now, I want to hear from you. What tactic spoke to you the most? Drop a comment below and let's talk about how you're going to free yourself from toxic influences. And if you're ready to dive deeper into building an unshakable mindset, check out the next video right here. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. You've got this. See you in the next one.